Trigger warning. This podcast is rated NSFL. Not safe for liberals. Big league lesbian. Big league Trump supporter. Big league red pills. Her name is Jaimee, and she is the gay who's straight. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how's it going? This is so awkward. I just want to let you know this is like the third try that the third take, I should say, of me just trying to get this thing started. It's very weird. I've never recorded myself before for anything like this. But I'm literally, just to give you an idea of the environment right now, I'm sitting in my living room with my two dogs talking to myself into a microphone, and it's silent except for me talking, and I never really just sit and hang out in silence unless I'm reading. So it feels really weird, and I don't really like it, but I guess I'll just get used to it because I have to, because this show needs to get out there. Yeah, I've been saying for a while now, the account, I created the Gay Who Strayed Instagram account, I think like 3 months ago, and I said from the beginning that I was going to release the first podcast, the first episode, when I hit 5,000 followers, but that happened way faster than I thought it would. I thought that when I said that initially, I thought I was buying myself some time to kind of like, I don't know, get over my nerves and figure out what I'm doing, but that didn't really work out. So, yeah. Admittedly, I have been incredibly busy with work, so that has been holding me back a little bit, but I think even more so just my nerves. We all make excuses for things. Nervous laughter. But, yeah. Anyways, I think it's time we do it. So please bear with me. I can guarantee you there's gonna be some bumps in this road as I really get into this whole thing. Because like I said, it's kind of awkward right now. I'm just talking to myself. It feels like, even though I know I'm now talking to you. Alright, so thank you for being here with me. Listening, tuning in. That's super cool. I really would have never expected a single person to listen to me just ramble on. So if you are, high fucking five, man. High fucking five. So my name is Jaimee, and on this first episode, I want to just introduce myself, give you a little background about me, and pretty much explain to you how I became the gay who strayed. How I got into politics, and what led me to become the huge Trump supporter that I am today. It's really funny and also very relevant to this podcast, because the thing that led me into politics and learning all that I did over those years back then was my sexuality. And not in the way you're probably thinking, but I need to set that up as a primer for you to really understand. So it was back in 2006. I was a senior in college. Yes, I'm old. Leave me alone. It was 2006, senior in college, and I had just met this girl who would soon be my first girlfriend ever in life. Prior to that, so I grew up in a time when gay culture, like, it wasn't like a thing, really. Nobody talked about it in school. It wasn't on TV. It wasn't anywhere. And honestly, I didn't even really know what it meant to be gay. So my whole life up until then, I didn't really know that I was gay. But anyway, so I met this girl, and we fell in love. We fell madly in love, and for the first time ever in my life, I understood what it meant to be in love, and I understood what all those songs were about and all the movies, and it finally clicked. And it's funny because from that moment on, like, my entire life up until then made sense. It all just clicked for me. But I guess that's another story. I was so excited to finally be in love that I was shouting it from the rooftops, telling everybody that, wow, I'm in love and with this girl, and her name is, I'm not going to say her name on here, but I just told all of my friends and my family, and I didn't give a shit. I was just so happy because I was in love. And it was, obviously, if you've been in love, it's probably the best feeling on earth next to Trump being elected president. So as soon as I started telling people about this girl and how I was so in love with her, I started getting a lot of questions like, wow, you're gay. I didn't know you were gay. How long have you been gay? Have you always been gay? Gay, gay, gay. And I didn't know how to answer because I honestly didn't know if I was gay, because all I knew at that time was that I was in love with her, singular, one girl. And a few days later, she gave me this book, and I cannot remember the name of the book for the life of me, but it was basically a book about all these women telling their story about the first time they fell in love with another woman. And I'll never forget, on page 13 of that book, I encountered a word called homosexuality, with a P as in Peter, as in Papa, Trump. And I was like, holy shit, what is that? I've never heard this word before. And the word homosexuality was short for postmodern sexuality, basically meaning you love who you love regardless of gender, sex, whatever. It's like there is no homosexuality, there is no heterosexuality, it's just postmodern sexuality. I love you because you're you, and that's all there is. So at that point in my life, that word made a lot of sense to me. It was like, wow, can you imagine if everybody knew of this word? And if I don't know about the word, I mean, I'm a pretty smart person. I know a lot of words, but I've never heard of this word before. Imagine how many other people have never heard of this word. So the gears started grinding in my head, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to change the fucking world. I'm going to introduce this new homosexuality to the masses, and everybody's going to be liberated that is afraid to come out of the closet or that just doesn't know they're gay or whatever. And yeah, that was my plan back when I was 22. Looking back now, I mean, I think that homosexuality, there is a lot of truth in that for a lot of people. But I don't identify as that anymore. Like, I do identify as gay. As time has gone on, as the years have gone on, obviously, like, I'm gay. And I'm very proud to be gay. I love being gay. I wouldn't want to not be gay. But now I'm getting sidetracked. So as a young 22-year-old woman, I started a social network. I thought that I could make a place for all people that would be, to learn about this new word and to spread it across the world. I thought I was going to be on Oprah and Ellen. Things didn't really work out quite that way. But I did make the social network. It was called Pomo World, P-O-M-O World. And it was basically just like Facebook, like you create a profile, you can post pictures, comment on stuff, have discussions, groups, all that stuff. And it got off to a really good start. But then, there's only so much you can talk about regarding that. It wasn't like a dating site. It was just a forum, basically. And so it was hard to keep it going just based on that alone. And so because it was it was called Pomo World, like postmodern world, people started finding it and kind of just branching off into all other topics. I'm not even sure how it happened. It happened pretty naturally. But this is where the politics really all start to come in. Pretty soon, before I really even knew what was going on, and I didn't really have control of it at that point. There were a lot of members, but people started posting about politics, but not just really politics, like more of the underground, what would have been called conspiracy theories back then, like a lot about the New World Order and the Illuminati and all this stuff, and I just see it flooding my site that I created about sexuality. And which obviously it was not really about that anymore. I mean, that was like the underlying premise of it, but nobody really talked about it anymore. So my site basically got hijacked into, just a lot of stuff like that. And it was also a place where people talked about like spirituality and like quantum physics. And it was really all over the place. But it was interesting. to be a part of and to kind of watch grow into this creature that I didn't know what it was or what it was going to become. But the politics stuff, all the conspiracy theories and stuff, I mean, it caught my attention. Like, I was hooked. I was really hooked on it. And I started doing hours a day of research. I mean, it kind of consumed me. And that was my first experience with the red pill, I guess you could say. And I don't know what your experience was like when you first, took the red pill, quote unquote. But that information is consuming. And for me, at least, I wanted more. I wanted to keep going down the rabbit hole. I needed to know more about this nefarious elite underworld that controlled the earth, basically. So that's what Pomo World ended up becoming. And the funny thing is that this thing that I created ended up really creating me, like definitely pushing me into the person that I am now, not regarding sexuality, but just, being the gay who strayed. You have to also keep in mind the timeline. So this site I created, now it was 2007. And so I was doing all this researching about the Illuminati and New World Order and globalism and all that disgusting shit, right as the 2008 presidential campaigning started, when the world was introduced to Obama. So that was fun, watching everybody I knew and loved and cared about really just be fucking hypnotized by this fraud. And I knew it from the second he stepped on stage and announced. I mean, I saw right through him. I saw that he was a puppet for these, globalists to enact their agenda. And it was so heartbreaking seeing everybody just fall in love with him. I mean, I remember watching his rallies on TV and just seeing the masses of people just fucking blinded by like his race and the way he talked. Oh, man, it was bad. But there was a shining beacon of light called Ron Paul at that time, and that was my guy. Besides my website, he was my initial red pill, really, in the world of, like, current political affairs. I do want to make clear that at that point, I wasn't a Democrat, I wasn't a Republican, I didn't know what the hell I was. All I knew was that I was anti-establishment. And honestly, it's been that way ever since. I've never been a part of a party. I've never, because the nomination was stolen from Ron Paul in both 2008 and 2012, which is another show topic, I guess. But, yeah, I didn't vote. A lot of people say, well, fuck you. You have to vote for somebody. I was like, no, I'm sorry, but these are both globalists and they are evil. And I know exactly what's going to happen. And I cannot consciously or morally, give my vote to either of them. So, but yeah, I do want to say that I was never a conservative. I was never a liberal. I don't know. I have been since the beginning anti-establishment. So after Ron Paul had the nomination stolen from him again, I had basically given up hope of ever having an anti-establishment president. It was so fucked up. I mean, I don't know if you guys are old enough, I'm sure many of you are, to remember the Ron Paul, movement, the Ron Paul revolution. It was pretty big, and we were very angry people. We were a very angry group of people, but Ron Paul wasn't strong enough. The internet wasn't where it is today. And it just kind of died, as did my hopes of ever having an anti-establishment president. I saw right through everything in both of those campaigns, just how rigged it was. And, the people never really had a choice. And I thought, well, I guess this is just how it always is. I mean, and how it's always going to be. But then 2015 came along, and I think you know where this goes from there. Now, this is the part of the show that I've really been dreading talking about. I've been thinking, how am I going to say this? Do I even have to say it? Maybe I could just leave it out. But that wouldn't be right. That wouldn't be honest. And I do want to give you my full story. And, maybe it makes the story better. I'm not sure. Just know what I'm about to say is something I'm deeply ashamed of. I was a Bernie Sanders supporter. I know. Oh my God, please don't make me feel worse than I already do about it. Come on. So let me explain. Back when the campaigning started, I didn't even really look at Trump. I mean, I didn't take him seriously. Like I said, I was never a Republican or a Democrat. All I really ever cared about was anti-establishment, and I saw that in Bernie. And, you know, I didn't even care about the socialism aspect. I was like, look, whatever has to happen, we need to get an anti-establishment president in there that will, you know, fuck the system from the inside. Looking back now, you know, obviously the socialism aspect does matter quite a lot, and I'm quite upset with myself that I didn't care more about that. All I really saw was this guy that was trying to disrupt the establishment and take it on, and I really believed him, and I think that's the saddest part, is that I believed him. But you know, he had the nomination stolen from him by the DNC, and as soon as he basically just accepted that fact, like didn't put up a fight, and then endorsed Hillary for president, you know, everything kind of just changed in that moment, and that's when I really started focusing on Trump. It was never an option to support Hillary. I mean, I honestly have no idea how Bernie supporters could ever do that. There are so many that did, and it just blows my mind. I mean, I'll drive around town and I see bumper stickers on people's car for Bernie and Hillary. I'm like, you are very mentally ill, and I really think you should get help. So there it is. You now know my deep, dark, dirty, very dirty secret. But you know what? In the end, it all worked out. And he pushed me to Trump. So I guess I can appreciate that. So once all that happened and Bernie was out of the story, you know, I've been a Reddit user forever. I mean, I've been reading things on Reddit for like a decade. And, you know, I saw stuff pop up from the Donald. And this was before Spez censored the fuck out of it. Like, it would pop up on the front page from time to time. And I, out of curiosity, went to check it out. And I basically never left. That place totally, like, was a whole nother red pill moment for me in regards to Trump. And I came to see him for who he really is, and not at all what the media was saying. Even though I never watched CNN or MSNBC or Fox at that point, I really never watched any of it. But, you know, it was kind of common knowledge between people that, you know, between everybody that wasn't a Trump supporter, that he was like this evil, psycho, racist, hateful man. And so I started looking into him for myself, and I started spending way too much time on the Donald on Reddit. And within about a week, I was like fully on board the Trump train, like hardcore. And a lot of my friends did not like that very much. Now, let me tell you, coming out as a Trump supporter is so much harder to do than coming out as gay. I mean, it doesn't even compare. The hate and vitriol and just negativity that was thrown my way constantly, daily on Facebook, it was intense, and it really was off-putting. But, you know, everybody tried to tell me, like, you're crazy. You cannot support this man. I cannot fucking believe you. Like, what is wrong with you? You are not who I thought you were. Nobody could see the correlation between supporting Bernie and supporting Trump. And I've been telling people for quite a long time that it's not that far of a stretch when all you care about is an anti-establishment president. You know, they're more similar than I believe, you know, even Bernie and Hillary are, at least prior to the convention. You know, the Bernie that I thought he was. And before long, my entire Facebook profile was completely dedicated to Trump. And yeah, that upset a lot of people, but I wasn't about to stop because I knew that how important this election was. I mean, it was either the end of Western civilization or the prosperity of Western civilization, and that is what I saw this election as. And so I did everything I could to try and get people to see that Trump was the right choice. And that, my friends, is the story of how I became a Trump supporter. And that brings us to present day, and me running this account and putting this podcast out, because even though Trump got elected president, as you, I'm sure, can tell, the war, has really just begun. And it's going to take a lot of work to really drain the swamp and rid our country of this disgusting creature called the establishment. And I want to use my voice and my story and my position as a gay woman to try and show others that are still not supporting Trump that, they've been lied to for a very long time. So this is part entertainment, part educational, part fuck everybody on the left. Moving on from here, the podcast is going to turn into, each episode is going to be dedicated to a certain topic, and my take on it. There are also going to be guest co-hosts. I know DC Drano has told me that he wants to come on the show, and I hope to have many of my episodes be, me with somebody else. And also, I will dedicate about 10 minutes, maybe a little less, depending on how much info there is to talk about. But I want to dedicate a specific amount of time of each show to the current events of that week, what's going on with, in Trump world and the regressive left and America and even the world. So we're just going to, feel it out, see how the whole thing forms. But it's definitely going to be a good time, and I hope that you stick around for the next one. I'm going to be trying to put out an episode every 2 weeks. I think that's definitely feasible. And just to let you know, the topic for the next episode has been chosen, and it's going to be feminism, because there is a lot that I need to address about that. It needs to happen. So we're going to get that one out of the way next, and I hope that you'll listen. If you've enjoyed listening to this show, I would love for you to tell some of your friends about it. I think the more people that we have listening to this, the better for our movement. And I just want to say thank you very much for listening, taking the time out of your day to spend with me. What else? I want to tell you, if you have anything to say to me, like any suggestions for show topics, if you're interested in co-hosting, some criticisms, any advice for making the show better, I would really, really love to hear it. You can contact me directly from my website at thegaywhostrayed.com. There is a contact tab on it, and you fill out the form, and I'll get the email right away. That would be awesome. So, yeah. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.